Well, last time I gave an assignment, and the assignment, and hopefully you did it. If you didn't, it's not that big of a deal. But the assignment was to look at this line that's in the first paragraph of 3rd John, where he says, I have no greater joy than to hear that my children are walking in the truth. And I just asked you to think about that term walking. Now, here's why I say that when it comes to Bible engagement. And this is a line that I've used in my preaching and teaching because this has been my observation from a lifetime of engaging in the Bible. I did it as my formal course of study when I was in college. I studied the Bible. And so I've developed at least a familiarity with it enough to comment in a general way about its characteristics. And one of the things that is absolutely true about the Bible is I say it this way: God gives you things you can see to help you understand the things that you cannot see. And that's another way of saying that the language that the Bible uses from cover to cover in many respects is very picturesque. It's very metaphorical. Now, it doesn't mean that these things aren't real. Sometimes when we think of metaphors, we think of that as it's not telling a real story. That's not at all what that means. Jesus, when he came to the earth, he told parables. It said he taught in parables. And parable literally means, you look up the word in the ancient Greek, it means to set something beside something else, to kind of draw a comparison. And Jesus drew comparisons all the time. That's how he talked. He would say to fishermen, you pulled in this net for fish, and the kingdom of heaven is like that net full of fish and the things that you do. And I think he did that for lots of reasons. First of all, it's a very good way to communicate because it would have remained with them. I like to say that Jesus preached sermons that kept preaching. So he would use imagery that they were used to in their everyday world to keep coming to their mind. So when they pulled that net of fish the next time, they would always think of the kingdom of heaven. There's things like that. So the Bible is filled with all this picturesque language and these metaphors. And that's why it's a very good idea to stop and really seek out what something means. And so that I have no greater joy than to hear that my children are walking in the truth. And I asked you just to kind of concentrate on that word, walking, and think about it. Now, you could look up studies, you could go to Blue Letter Bible, you could look at the Bible Project, you could study background commentaries on walking. That actually was a phrase back in that time that they would use. Or I asked you to think about walking itself. Why did he use the word walking? Why did he not say running or sitting? And those sound like simple kind of elementary questions, but they're really not. If you want to dig deeper into what the Bible is really saying, much of it means to stop and really think about the words that it chooses to use. Because like we've said many times, God breathed out these words. He chose that phrase, walking in the truth. Well, the way you get to the heart of that is, walking. What do I do when I walk? What does he mean by walking in the truth? When I'm walking, what am I doing? I'm going somewhere. I'm headed a direction. I'm not running there. I'm not desperate, but I am on the move. I'm not static. There's all kinds of layers of things that come just from thinking about a term we take extremely for granted, walking. Well, you do need to know that in that day and age, that they use that term walking as a metaphor for the basic direction of your life. Like your walk had to do with, you can tell a lot about a person sometimes by how they walk. If they walk slumped over, if they walked with more bearing, if they had their shoulders back and straight up. A walk can communicate things. But they used it as a way of saying your walk in life is the basic essential direction of your life and who you are and what you're about, where you're going, the places that your feet land. So when he says, I have no greater joy than hearing my children are walking in the truth, that means the basic direction of their life and the characteristic of their life, the places that they go, the things that they care about are marked by a devotion to the truth. And that's a really good way to look at stuff. And so whenever you think about the passage, what's my walk in life? Is the basic direction of my life devoted to the truth. And according to 2 John and 3 John, the ultimate truth is Jesus Christ and God the Father and the gospel itself and the teaching that's been passed by. It's saying, are those things, that truth, Is that informing what I do, where I go, my basic direction overall of my life, or is something else? Everybody has a walk in life. So it's a simple thing, but it's also a more profound thing. And you can find it just by stopping and not take words for granted. I think that's really the ultimate thing we want to get there. We're going to take one more swing at the book of Third John, rather, and next time up. And I invite you again just to read it through. That's what I'm doing in my own, just read it through out loud. That's what I do anyway. And pray over it and pay attention and listen and wonder. Get it, it's getting it in your mind. You could probably quote little pieces of it. You can see the themes that are rising up from it, the things that he cares about, and ask the questions, and then he kind of shifts gears a little bit later in the book. And so we'll look at that next time.